Hey YouTube, this is MIgardener coming to you from a different part of the globe. I'm actually in my apartment in Lansing, and I probably haven't shown you guys, actually no, I haven't shown you guys the apartment. So before I get into this episode, I'm going to actually show you, I'll do a little pan around here. So as you can see, here's my study desk and my food source. And then I have a really sweet, it's a really big closet. It's huge to store all my clothes in. And I also have, my dresser space over there. Got a beautiful window. Unfortunately, as you can see, there's no lighting, so the only lighting has to be supplemental. Obviously, from lamps and stuff, which is really cool. And then I also have my desk. This is really weird because I'm doing this on my webcam because I am away from home, and so my camera is actually at the house, and I wanted to make this just because I felt like making a video. I was really bored. I wasn't doing anything. Got all my homework done, so it's all good. But anyway, so the first thing I'm going to get into, since I can't edit this video, I have to make it quick. And I guess that is a really good thing because, if I learn to make things in front of a webcam where you can't edit, it's going to make my videos a lot more cut and dry to the point. So I'm going to get into it. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is actually a couple tips that I put on my Facebook page is actually about composting. A lot of people are wondering what kind of stuff you put in your compost. And I made a post on there, but I guess I'll put it in video form as well. There's things you do put in your compost and things you don't put in your compost. And some certain things to kind of limit your carbon footprint and your amount of trash you put into landfills can be significantly decreased by realizing that anything that can break down can actually go into a compost. So it's really cool. Things such as coffee grounds, paper cups, paper plates, cardboard boxes, paper shreddings. You can put in like bread that goes stale, chips that go stale. You can put in food scraps that aren't meat. You can put in like veggie scraps. You can put in newspaper. You can put in the coffee filter, leaves, grass clippings, etc., etc. There's just a huge list. And those are things that will break down really quick. And you can also even put fish in. Fish is one of the only meat sources you can actually compost safely because it doesn't harbor E. coli in its intestinal tract, which is good. And that also leads me into things that you don't compost. So there's a dual-edged sword here. You don't want to compost meats. Any land animal that is a omnivore or a carnivore, meaning that they eat other meat or sometimes eat meat, sometimes eat plants. You don't want to compost their waste or themselves. So like if you somehow had like a piece of a chicken breast left over from dinner, you don't want to put that back in the compost at all. You don't. And you don't want to put pieces of beef. They're herbivores, but they are land animals. So it's either an herbivore, carnivore, or it's a land animal. So there's different exceptions to that. Now droppings, you don't want to compost the droppings of an omnivore or a carnivore, but the droppings are safe for an herbivore, such as cows, rabbits, alpaca, those things that just eat grass and leaves, deer, those type of things. So those are kind of the exceptions to that rule. Also, things you don't want to compost are you don't want to compost eggshells that haven't been cooked in the oven, because egg is a chicken, and you run the risk of salmonella. Through baking it, you're going to take out those things. So you can compost the eggshells, but make sure that you put them in the oven before you compost them. Also, another thing that you can kind of exclude from the compost pile is ink paper. A lot of times colored paper has harmful inks in them. I know if you're having food products, they use a soy-based ink, but for like newspapers, advertisements, that's not really always the same case, so stay away from that. Another thing that you want to keep out of the compost pile is obviously stuff that doesn't biodegrade at all, such as plastics and metals. Those won't ever break down, and actually that's just considered pollution, so stick those away from the compost pile as well. And also you want to keep stuff that can harbor funguses and bacteria and diseases, such as tomato plants. Any plants in the Solanaceae family, such as tomatoes, peppers, and potatoes, and tomatillos, those need to stay out of the compost pile, because if they get a blight and you compost it, it's going to get into your compost, and then your other plants will get it in years to come. Also, things you don't want to compost are potatoes. Potatoes won't break down. They're made to grow from the tuber. So if you have any like potato scraps, if they're cooked, they're killed. But if you just have like potatoes that go bad in a bag that you haven't used, don't throw those in the compost pile, because they're actually going to grow more potatoes in your compost pile, and then they just get really messy and they don't actually compost down. They actually end up growing the next year, and it's kind of one of those messy things that should just kind of be kept in the trash. So that was just a really quick list. I wanted to tell you guys that. Thank you guys for obviously still tuning in. I know that the videos are coming a lot less frequently, but nonetheless, it's really fun to get to talk to you guys. And also, I will be coming up with a new video very soon, because the weekend's coming up, and you know what that means. It's going to be in the garden. So thank you guys for enjoying this episode in my humble abode of my apartment. And until next time, remember to grow big or go home, and I'll see you guys later. See ya. Bye.